Hello universe, welcome to my world. We do Angelina Jordan videos on this channel, and today we're doing something rather different. Those of you who follow Angelina closely know that she is a very, very moving artist, and a lot of people emotionally go to a place where they have seldom been before. But even beyond that, Angelina sometimes changes the lives of some people. And that's where we're going with today's video. And as the Beatles say, now our normal format is usually we play an Angelina Jordan song at the end, but before that we hear other versions of the same song from other artists. But today, before we reach Angelina's impact of how she changes our lives, we will look at other ways that people's lives are changed. And we will start with meditation. And the Beatles had a lot to say about meditation. In the late 60s, they went to India and they stayed with Maharishi, and George Harrison on the sitar captured the impact of meditation with his song, Within You, Without You.
When you see beyond yourself, then you may find peace of mind is waiting there.
And for those of you who are interested, the extreme of transformation is captured in one line in a Donovan song.
First there is a mountain, then there is no mountain, then there is...
Another way that lives are changed is through chemical experience, or you may understand the word drugs better. Here Bob Dylan sounds like he's having a lot of fun with recreational drugs.
But I would not feel so all alone. Everybody must get stoned.
But Grace Slick with Jefferson Airplane gives us a bit of a darker message when she talks about Alice in Wonderland.
One pill makes you larger, and one pill makes you small.
It's just getting harder to find.
And the extreme dark side is captured very well when Neil Young sings of his own personal experience.
Seen the needle and the damage done.
And Amy Winehouse also captures the bleak end result in very few words.
I go back to black.
On a positive note, I'm sure there are some medicinal plants in the Amazonian rainforest which can positively affect one's consciousness. Next category we will look at is therapy. And for some people, they lead until the therapy can begin with
I don't wanna talk about it.
but it may end with
You just talk too much.
and the end result may allow
I'm starting with the man in the mirror.
followed by
I see my light come shining any day now. I shall be relieved.
now we come to some big categories of life-transforming experience. There is always and the question is,
What is love?
rather than defining it, let's see if we can describe it. Jennifer Rush in the mid-80s talks about its power. And the Reverend Al Green gives a wonderful description when he's strutting his stuff.
Love is a beautiful thing.
And Irene Cara from the movie Fame gives a different spin on it again.
Take your passion and make it happen.
But over many years, and it can get deeper and more powerful.
Love of my
And over the last 1,000 years throughout the world, love has had a very natural outcome.
Love and marriage go together like the horse and carriage.
And with a little bit of luck, you may have a beautiful girl or
Beautiful, 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 beautiful boy.
When I first began doing Angelina videos 4.5 years ago, I promised myself there are certain subjects I would not touch. And I'm going to break that promise today because I cannot complete this video without talking about the life-changing effect that religion has. But to say I'm going to choose my words carefully is an understatement. And so there's a very smooth transition from the previous category to go from love to religion. And here Marvin Gaye is singing God is Love.
God is my friend, Jesus is my friend, and all he asks of us is we give each other love.
Stevie Winwood sings about higher love, but he captures it in stereo. He talks about the love external to us in the stars, but he's also talking about the love within us.
Think about it, there must be higher love, down in the heart hidden in the stars above.
Christmas 2021, Angelina gave a superb performance, and the most spectacular song was You Say. Here she is combining the aspect of love with self-doubt in her relation to a higher being.
You say I'm in love when I can't feel it there.
And here in one line, Bob Dylan captures the concept of faith.
What kind of sign they need when it all comes from within?
And religion is very good at giving a person comfort and personal support throughout their life. And here Angelina is getting a different type of support because she feels she is weak when she's being told that she is strong.
You say I am strong and I think I'm weak.
And a younger Angelina is singing the wonderful Christian song, You Raise Me Up, which is a different description of the type of support that religion can offer.
When I am down and oh my soul so heavy, when troubles come and my heart burns then I sleep and wait in the silence until you come.
And the support actually reaches to the foundations of your identity.
In you I found my worth, in you I find my identity.
And the support even comforts you for what may happen to you in the next lifetime.
When I die and the layman to rest, gonna go to the place that's the best. When I lay me down to die, going up to the Syrian sky.
And Barry White very simply captures all three aspects, love, faith, and support, with just one line.
My first, my last, my everything.
Now, how can Angelina compete with these fundamental levels of life-changing experiences? Well, there are a lot of people who have been moved beyond words, and they do try and put it into words. Boris is a long-term administrator in the Angelina community, and he talks about how his experience has been life-changing.
Again, and for the first time I heard Angelina, I felt better. And after this performance, after talking with Mary, after meeting them in real life, I flew home absolutely calm and happy. Nothing happened anymore. And thinking is past and nothing happened to me like panic attacks. I think it was actual performances of Angelina's voice.
And Bob Blair also describes a profound emotional breakthrough he's had as a result of Angelina, which was an impasse for him his whole life.
And then when I was 18, she did take her life. And I did not cry one tear. I sat on the edge of our bathtub and I looked in the mirror and I said, I am not going to feel this. And I said it twice and it somehow took hold and I felt nothing. And at 60 years old, last fall, in came Angelina, and I had no idea what was going to happen. I knew right away when I heard Angelina for the first time, there was something very profound about this girl because she hit me emotionally so deeply. When I saw Bohemian Rhapsody, I've never been touched by music like that in my whole life. Last fall, I was working at my bench, doing some really technical work, very deeply concentrated on what I was doing. And all of a sudden, the thought came to me, you are not responsible for your mother's death. And I stood straight up and I immediately started to cry.
And our friend Ron Raskin has some wonderful stories to tell us about the impact that Angelina has had and how this has affected his life. So Ron, you have some very interesting stories about how Angelina Jordan has affected you and how she's changed your life. Tell me about it.
I started following Angelina about 7 years ago, and I was a big fan of crooner music and classic music. And when I was starting to follow her, she was 12 years old, but I saw the videos from when she was younger, and she really impressed me with the fact that she's doing music that young kids don't do. And I just started following her and become more attached to what she's doing and to her as a young person. And 2 years into it, I heard the story about the orphan girl and the bare feet and the shoes. And that just touched me. And it made me even more immersed in what she was doing and wanting her to succeed. I felt she was an inspiration to all people, not just young people. So fast forward to a couple of years ago, and I was in a small city not far from where I live. And it was a very poor area. There were a lot of homeless people on the streets. There were tents on the sidewalks. It was really pretty sad. And I was going to an appointment, and I finally realized I didn't know where I was going, and I had to turn around. And I pulled into a little plaza parking lot, and there were some pedestrians crossing in front of me, so I had to stop. And while I was stopped, I wasn't paying attention, but a young woman, probably in her 30s, jumped into my passenger seat and scared the heck out of me. And I didn't know what she was doing, what she wanted. I didn't know if she was going to rob me, whether she was in cahoots with somebody else. But there was also something very kind looking about her. And I was scared, but not too scared. And I had to say something, and I asked what she's doing in my car. And she said she was a homeless person, and she hadn't eaten for a day or two. And she asked me if I had a couple of dollars. And right then and there, I knew that she was legitimate. She was safe. She wasn't looking to steal my wallet. She wasn't looking for large sums of money. She was looking for a couple of dollars. And at that point, for some reason, Angelina came to mind. And I said, she gave to an orphan girl. She gave her shoes on the spot. And I said, I've got to do more than $2. And I reached in my wallet. I gave her $25. And she started crying out of appreciation. And I just felt the need to comfort her. I told her things would be okay and things have a way of working out. She thanked me profusely. She got out of the car and I saw her walking toward the corner store, hopefully to get food. And that whole experience really impacted me. And I said, I never expected that a young girl singing music on YouTube would influence me years later with her story and the way that she has treated people that don't have.
That's a great story, Ron. That's a great story.
There is another story that just happened recently, and it was regarding an incident that I had with my son that was pretty emotionally laden, and we stopped talking, and I felt that he had betrayed me. I didn't want to forgive him. And this is something that was totally foreign to me because I've never been that way. But it was serious enough that I just felt I couldn't forgive him. And a week or two went by where we didn't talk much. And I was still fuming inside. And then, just ironically, maybe just a stroke of luck, an angel from above, but Angelina introduced, or I saw at her concert, Thank You, her new song. And when I followed the lyrics and realized that it was about forgiveness for betrayal and that she was actually thanking the person that had betrayed her, I said, that's incredible that somebody can do that. And I said, you know what? I have to forgive my son. And so it happened again.
These two simple stories, Ron, is the whole theme of my broadcast. These are great stories. It's not enough to say that music can make you happy. It's not enough to say that music can reach your soul. You really have to say that music can change your life. It doesn't happen every day, but when it does happen, it's worth waiting for. We just have to be open to it. We will continue to explore the talent of Angelina Jordan in the future. Okay, gang, I'm out of here. I'll catch you later. Bye.